to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The Turkish military has sent additional tanks into northern Syria. The U.S. military is backing Turkey's ground offensive, which began earlier this week. Turkish officials say there are now at least 20 Turkish tanks inside Syria, and that more could be deployed in the coming days. The U.S.-backed Turkish offensive is aimed at taking control of ISIS-held towns along the border. On Wednesday, Turkish tanks and U.S. air support helped the Free Syrian Army oust ISIS from Jarablus. Turkey also seeks to force Kurdish militias to retreat from the border. These militias are backed by the United States. This comes as Turkish state media is reporting an explosion at a police station in Turkey near the border with Syria has killed at least 11 people and wounded 70. There's been no claim of responsibility, but the Turkish prime minister has blamed the attack on the Kurdistan Workers' Party known as the PKK. Fighting's escalated between Turkish forces and the PKK since a ceasefire collapsed over a year ago. Earlier this year, the United Nations accused Turkish forces of carrying out human rights violations against civilians in the majority Kurdish southeast. In one instance, the UN says as many as 100 people burned to death while attempting to take shelter during a Turkish military offensive in the city of Cizre. The UN says there have been reports of Turkish snipers intentionally shooting at civilians, including children. Vice President Biden just returned from a trip in Turkey. Secretary of State John Kerry is in Geneva today, where he's meeting with the Russian foreign minister about a possible cooperation agreement in the ongoing fight against ISIS in Syria. This comes as the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says at least 4 civilians have died in multiple barrel bomb attacks in Aleppo. Amnesty International says the Assad government frequently drops barrel bombs in civilian neighborhoods. We'll speak with Vijay Prashad about Turkey, Syria, and the U.S. elections after headlines. In Italy, the death toll from Wednesday's 6.2 magnitude earthquake in central Italy continues to rise. At least 250 people have now been confirmed dead as rescue crews continue to search through the rubble for additional bodies. In news from the campaign trail here in the U.S., Donald Trump is continuing to flip-flop on his immigration policy, sparking controversy among both his allies and opponents. Trump has made the mass deportation of 11 million undocumented immigrants one of the cornerstone proposals of his campaign. But now, with his newest campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, he appears to be backing away from the mass deportation plan, although he still says he's opposed to amnesty and any path toward legalization. This is Donald Trump speaking to CNN's Anderson Cooper.
Well, I don't think it's a softening. I think it's...
But 11 million people are no longer going to be deported.
I've had people say it's a hardening, actually.
But 11 million who have not committed a crime,
we're then going to
there's going to be a path to legalization. Is that right?
You know it's a process. You can't take 11 at one time and just say, boom, you're gone.
Donald Trump went on to tell Anderson Cooper, quote, there's no path to legalization unless they leave the country, unquote. This follows Trump's town hall hosted by Fox News' Sean Hannity Wednesday night, in which Trump said he'd be willing to work with some undocumented people if they pay back taxes. Undocumented immigrants already do pay taxes. During the town hall, Trump at times appeared not to know what he thought and instead turned to the audience to conduct a poll.
You have somebody who's terrific, who's been here 20 years. Right, long time. Long court proceeding, long everything, okay? In other words, to get them out. Can we go through a process, or do you think they have to get out? Tell me. I mean, I don't know. You tell me.
Well, let's do a poll. How many think they should go through a process that maybe give them a chance? Clap. We got to hear you.
How many people?
How many think they should go?
Well, but do it again. Do it again.
Sean Hannity has acknowledged advising the Trump campaign, saying, quote, I never claimed to be a journalist. Hillary Clinton has attacked Donald Trump, saying his campaign has empowered the far-right, white nationalist alt-right movement, and that his campaign is making hate groups mainstream. This is Hillary Clinton speaking in Reno, Nevada.
From the start, Donald Trump has built his campaign on prejudice and paranoia. He is taking hate groups mainstream and helping a radical fringe take over the Republican Party. His disregard for the values that make our country great is profoundly dangerous.
This comes as Hillary Clinton has released a new campaign ad linking Trump to the Ku Klux Klan and other white supremacist groups. This is a clip of the ad, which begins with the Imperial Wizard with the Rebel Brigade Knights of the Ku Klux Klan speaking.
The reason a lot of Klan members like Donald Trump is because a lot of what he believes, we believe in. Donald Trump would be best for the job.
For president.
Yeah.
I am a farmer and white nationalist. Support Donald Trump.
Sending out all the illegals, building a wall, and a moratorium on Islamic immigration. That's very appealing to a lot of ordinary white people.
Voting against Donald Trump at this point is really treason to your heritage.
That's the voice of David Duke, the former Grand Wizard of the KKK, and before that, Jared Taylor, editor of the white nationalist magazine American Renaissance, featured in Hillary Clinton's new campaign ad. France's highest administrative court will decide whether to overturn a local ban on full-body swimsuits known as bikinis, amidst ongoing controversy over an incident in which armed French police confronted a woman on the beach over her full-body dress. Photos of the incident show two armed police officers approaching the woman as she lay sleeping and then standing over her as she removed her long-sleeve shirt. The police then gave her a ticket which said she wasn't wearing, quote, an outfit respecting good morals and secularism, unquote. More than 24 French towns have banned the bikini, saying the swimsuit violates French secular laws. On Thursday, dozens of women protested the bikini ban at a rally outside the French embassy in London. This is one of the protesters.
It's never right to tell a woman whether what she can wear or to take her clothes off. That's not for a man to say. And I think in a time of increased Islamophobia, which we've seen in the UK and in France, it's just an even more horrible image to see because it just shows the kind of things that Muslim women have to deal with. So we wanted to show solidarity with Muslim women in France and call for a repeal of the ban.
Secretary of State John Kerry met with the Saudi foreign minister Thursday during a visit to Saudi Arabia, where the two discussed the ongoing U.S.-backed Saudi-led bombing campaign in Yemen. This comes as the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Zeid Ra'ad al-Hussein, has called for an independent investigation into the bombing campaign, saying civilians are suffering unbearably. In a statement, he wrote, quote, such a manifestly, protractedly unjust situation must no longer be tolerated by the international community, unquote. In August, the U.S.-backed Saudi coalition bombed a Doctors Without Borders hospital, killing 19 people, and bombed 2 schools in northern Yemen, killing at least 14 children. In Argentina, the former head of the army during Argentina's dirty wars has been convicted of crimes against humanity and sentenced to life in prison. 89-year-old Luciano Benjamin Menendez was found guilty of presiding over hundreds of disappearances and kidnappings, as well as multiple cases of murder and torture at a secret military base in Córdoba between 1975 and 79. The imprisoned ex-general is already serving multiple life sentences for other human rights abuses. The Brazilian Senate has begun the impeachment trial against President Dilma Rousseff, who was suspended earlier this year in what many are calling a coup. Her impeachment stems from accusations she tampered with government accounts to hide a budget deficit. The Brazilian group Transparency Brazil says 60% of Brazilian lawmakers are currently under criminal investigation or have already been convicted of crimes ranging from corruption to election fraud. Rousseff is slated to testify on Monday. Meanwhile, Brazilian police have charged American Olympic swimmer and gold medalist Ryan Lochte with falsely reporting a crime. Lochte and his 3 Olympic teammates claim they were robbed at gunpoint by men posing as police officers during the Olympic Games in Rio. But Brazilian authorities say the Olympic swimmers actually vandalized a gas station, then invented a story about having been victims of a robbery. Lochte has already lost 4 corporate sponsorships since the incident. And editor, publisher, and writer Warren Hinkle has died. He was the editor of the magazine Rampart, which he helped turn into a leading voice for the 1960s left. The magazine won a Polk Award for a 1966 article that revealed a Michigan State University group operating in Vietnam was in fact a CIA front group. It also published Eldridge Cleaver's prison letters and Che Guevara's diaries. Hinkle was also a major figure in the emergence of gonzo journalism. This is Hinkle speaking about editing Hunter S. Thompson's famous article about his trip to the Kentucky Derby.
It was just a mess. It didn't make much sense at all, the article. So I just kind of bundled it all up and took a walk up the street around the corner to the Tosca. And fortunately, it wasn't a crowded night. So I sat in one of these back red booths and spent a couple hours actually reading the thing and figuring the heads and the tails. And it was episodic, so it was. Yeah. And kind of reassembled it somewhat. It was like, oh dear, it was sort of like trying to assemble a very big, complex crossword puzzle without having the picture on the box.
Warren Hinkle died on Thursday at the age of 77 from complications of pneumonia. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.